So there's the aftermarket electronic ignition, and over the years it has disintegrated and oozed black tar all the way down. Looks like liquid, but it's more like solid. So that's getting replaced next. All right, we got the valve covers off, and it all looks pretty dry underneath. And the idea is that we're going to turn the engine over by hand a few times and watch and make sure all the valves are moving up and down the way they should be. So I think what I'm going to do is put a little piece of tape on each one as I see that it's moving.
Okay.
So I can keep track. Okay. So we turned over the engine by hand several times and observed each valve going up and down. So I marked them with a piece of tape to keep track. But it looks like we're all good. We've also, we've still got some water on here from power washing. But so the next steps, I think, are to put fresh oil in the engine, install the starter, and install a battery, and get ready to turn it over with the starter. So we had to reinstall the passenger side valve cover so that we could add oil back to the engine. So now we have 4 quarts of fresh oil, and we're going to go ahead and now try to reinstall the starter and see if we can get that going. Had to splice a wire here for the starter and resolder that together, but we're about to put the starter back on after a little bit of cleanup. Okay, so we've been playing around with the starter and the solenoid. We've got it back in place and just trying to make sure we get the wiring right. So been doing a little bit of research and looking at wiring diagrams and all that. I think we've got it down. So the idea is to put a charged battery in and try to turn it over. We'll see what happens. All right, we've got a charged battery in here and some new cables and clamps and fittings, and getting closer to cranking it up. This battery was put in the trunk years ago, and that's where we're going to leave it for now. Okay, so we got the starter installed. We're bumping it over for the first time. All right.
Excellent.
Okay, more cranking with the plugs out. Okay, I'm standing here with our mother, who has been around this car a long time. So why don't you tell us a little bit about how y'all came to buy a brand new Camaro in '67?
Well, we had always used second-hand cars to save money. It was my husband's 40th birthday, and so we went and bought a brand new Camaro. We didn't buy it because it was any kind of special car. It was just a little cheaper than the great big cars. So we never thought of it as being anything special. But we did. The first trip we made in it was to Oklahoma, and we stayed in Fountainhead Lodge.
So our dad really wasn't a car guy, like muscle car or drive fast?
No, it was just a car.
Okay.
That's why when we gave it
That's kind of disappointing. I always pictured him as like turning 40 and getting a fun car.
Oh,
but
no, it was just a car. And in fact, I drove it probably most of the time because I was only a mile and a half from my school,
Yeah.
and they didn't get a lot of mileage on that at first.
All right. So we got some visitors.
Yeah. Hey.
Hey, that's Gary. And there's the rest of the crowd. Well, this is as far as we got in our work session while my brother was in town. We got a fair amount accomplished, I think, in a couple of days, but we did hit kind of a roadblock. One of the things we learned was that when you rebuild an engine, or you have an engine that's been sitting for a long time, many years, you really want to circulate some oil through the entire engine. And the easiest way to do that is by turning the oil pump with a drill. So you remove the distributor, which we've removed that. There it is on the bench. And then you put in this tool, looks like this. This part connects to a drill, and this part down at the bottom, turns the oil pump. Now what I'm learning is there's a lot of these out there that are not exactly the right size, and this one that we got is not working. Not sure why yet, but you can see that this piece here sort of looks like this piece here, but this is a tighter fit. This is a larger diameter, these two pieces here, than these. So one of the tricks, I think, is to wrap tape around these to get a better seal, and then the oil is forced into this channel, or kept into this channel and forced up into the engine with more pressure. So we're going to play around with that. But yeah, that's where we're at. And then the next step, once we get oil, we should see oil coming up on the rocker arms there and just oozing down on all cylinders all the way around. And once we get that, then we can proceed to the compression test. I think we're making some progress. We also have lots of parts arriving. So we now have a new 4-barrel carburetor. We're going to keep that intake for the 4-barrel, and new water pump, and then maybe the drill.
Yeah, so I'm seeing 1, 2, 3,
Yeah, they're all
4,
coming out now.
5, 6. Yeah.
So the tape works. So we want to let it get a little saturated here.
Why don't you get all? Okay, they're all coming out now, Don.
Yep. All right, we're in the second cylinder, which is
On the back.
easier to get to, second from the
1,
front.
2, 3, so it's 4.
Okay, just to wrap up part 2 of the video. Today's probably the last work day for a while that we'll mess around with it. But here's what we were able to figure out. This is the oil pump priming tool that we purchased. And like I said, a lot of people have had trouble with these. There's a lot of different designs out there. But what I discovered was, just using a caliper, that the diameter of this piece right here on the distributor was much bigger, or somewhat bigger, than the same part on this tool. So someone online recommended wrapping tape around these journals, 2 rounds of tape. So I tried that, and sure enough, it was a snug fit in the hole, and it kept the oil from escaping through the gap, and it started working the way it's supposed to. So after about a minute of turning the drill, we saw the oil coming through the rocker arms on the head. So that was a good milestone. So we know we got oil circulated everywhere in the engine. So then we proceeded to try to do some compression tests, and we got I think 3 of the cylinders tested. The rest are really difficult to get to get the threaded hose into the spark plug hole. So what we discovered at 120 and 135 on the passenger side of the engine on the front. And then we tested number 3 over here, and it was 79. This one was interesting. It stopped at around 60 and then suddenly started pumping up again. So like you could tell the stuck ring popped out and started making compression. So really not too bad on those 3. And then we have the 4th one, which is still probably stuck. So that's it for now.